Hello, and welcome to Fantasy Football Scouts Gameweek 15 deadline stream, also known as Man City Watch. I am joined today by 30% of Fantasy Football Fest, 50% of the Fantasy Football Social, and 100% joke. I mean comedian. Ed,
hey!
How you doing?
Thanks, Seb. Absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for that lovely intro. And I'm looking forward to 30 minutes of absolute carnage because I haven't made my moves yet. And I'm waiting on team news and I'm completely paranoid that Booner's going to get me.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, we had was it a couple of weeks ago when I was doing this with Andy? We had, I did a little slither of my screen open for Twitter and I was looking at team news all coming in. And there was one where I think I went, this could be Booner. It could be Booner. I'm not sure, but here's what it says. And yes, indeed, I do believe it was Booner. I think it turned out to be correct, though, actually. So, maybe we'll just take what we get. Serendipity.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? I think he got loads of followers off the back of that because people now think he's a genuine source where actually he just got completely lucky. But We're awaiting, I think, 10 past 1. There is a reliable account, I think, probably just Booner doing some sort of like 9th level of satire and yeah, apparently he's going to give us some news, so we'll find out what it is. It's probably like Edison starts or something.
Your job, yeah, exactly. Your job today is Twitter lineup watch. Yeah, you're going to tell. So neither me or Ed have made our transfers. We'll get onto the teams in a second as well. I've got one to make. Have you got one or two?
Well, I've got one free transfer, but I might make two. But I'm waiting on you. I've got a few options.
So we'll see. I have Haaland, you don't. So yeah, we're gonna see how the team news comes in, and we'll react, and we'll see how badly wrong we get it. Yeah. But before we do all of that, let's have a little look at your team then. So okay. I have this up on screen here now. If you'd be kind enough to read through it for us, and then just talk us through what you're thinking for this week in Game Week 15.
So currently I have Ramsdale in goal, Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Cancelo as my captain. Zaha, Almiron, Saka and Rashford, Mitrovic, Kane and Jesus. Now I'm thinking I'm not going to leave. The captain's on Cancelo just because I haven't made transfers yet. Obviously the gaping hole in this is I've only got one City and they're playing Fulham at home. So I'm waiting on news. I took out Haaland and Foden last week when the news came in the last minute they weren't starting, and I brought in Rashford and Jesus, both of whom did well. So net positive of like 2 points over the transfer, I think. So all that faff for 2 points. But anyway, I'm thinking, here are my options. Either I've got money in the bank, like 5.8 million or something, so I could take out Mitrovic and just bring in Haaland and captain him, right? That would be easy. No hits, nothing.
So you've got money to do Mitrovic to Haaland, yeah? Because there's no Salah, so okay.
Yep, Mitrovic to Haaland if I want. I could, however, also do Mitrovic to Haaland and Saka, who's got Chelsea away, to Foden. Okay, so I can get triple City. Another way of doing it is Kane to Haaland. He's got Liverpool then Leeds, so two pretty decent fixtures actually, given Liverpool aren't doing well. So maybe I shouldn't do that. But Kane to Haaland and Saka or Zaha to KDB. I've got the money to do that as well. Right. But I don't want to make the moves if Haaland's not going to start, obviously. And I'd love to get Alvarez in and captain him if he's starting. If we get some reliable news, it's all about the news. So that's my team.
So I mean, would it be fair to say that you're kind of on the hunt for a captain as much as anything else? Because you don't have any injury concerns in your team, but you're captaining Cancelo when a Haaland is there, when a KDB is potentially there, there's maybe more attractive options. Yeah.
I mean, if we don't hear any news, I might just bring in KDB and go Haalandless and hope he doesn't start and captain KDB, because he is pretty close, I'd say, in terms of, I know Haaland's a machine. I don't know.
Do you think you are the only person on FPL Twitter without Haaland or Salah? Because the whole thing has been like, Salah or Haaland? You're just like, neither.
I've had Salah one game week in 2022, I think. Oof. But I'm a millionth in the world, so there you go. But this season I haven't.
From 10K?
This season I haven't had him. I had him in game week 1 because I got sucked into the template, and then I had that disastrous wildcarded in game week 2, and I brought in Darwin Núñez and Mitrovic, and one missed a penalty and one got sent off. And I'd taken out Jesus and Kane or something who've got 40 points together. So anyway, so I just haven't had Salah. I've always been one to try and go against Salah, and in the past that's absolutely ruined me. But over the last year or so, it hasn't really. I'm not really scared of Salah anymore. Sounds ridiculous. He's going to get a hat-trick, isn't he, or something? But I'm not scared. Like I used to be like, what have I done? Why have I not captained Salah again or even played him? But nowadays, he doesn't seem to be quite the same.
I mean, even him in isolation alone, I feel like having Haaland, having that other safety blanket means that even if Salah was still firing, you'd maybe feel a bit more comfortable without him because you have someone else you can gravitate to. There was that period when it was like, who do we captain if it's not Salah? And so you needed him just for that security.
Yeah. And now it's, who do you captain if it's not Haaland, pretty much?
Well, indeed, yeah. And I've tried everyone but Haaland, and that's why I'm not doing so well either.
You're doing all right. You're 137k.
It's okay. It's okay.
Pretty good.
Well, I'll take it. I mean, before the World Cup, it feels a bit like we're all just jockeying for, polling position rather than actual finishing places yet, Yeah. Speaking of which, then we'll fly through my team real quick so that we can focus on some team news and any questions from the chat. So if I bring mine up here, I have, similar players to many people in most positions. Pope in goal, Cancelo with the vice-captaincy, but that'll change, I think. Trippier, Dunk, Salah, Saka, Zaha and Martinelli. I have Haaland, currently captained, Mitrovic and Solanke. Although I have just made one change based on, you were saying, is it Paul O'Keefe's tweet? Where
yes.
It's Emerson, Perisic and Sessegnon are all starting, or he predicted to start, he thinks.
Right.
Which could mean Perisic in a front three. So I currently am starting Perisic over Mitrovic, just for that little bit of what if.
Yeah, okay. No, I get that. I mean, I think that Mitrovic, there'll be a lot of people who bench Mitrovic just because he's playing City away. But this is exactly the sort of game that he'll score, a penalty and a header or something, and it's 5-2 or something like that. I can see Mitrovic scoring. For sure, he can score. He's proven it at international level. He can score against anyone. That's never been his issue.
Yeah.
It's just he's got to be the focal point of the team. That's what it is, and he is for his country. And now he is for Fulham. Last time he was in the Premier League, he wasn't. He was benched most of the time, and they didn't play around him. So yeah, I'm a big Mitrovic fan.
I mean, I agree with you. Like when we're doing, Scoutcast and stuff, and it's on a Tuesday night, it's very easy to be level-headed and be sort of like, oh well, he's got a very small chance of scoring and whatever. Of course, you bench him. But on a Saturday morning with 20 minutes until a deadline, you suddenly go, yeah, but if Fulham do score, it'll probably be Mitrovic, and I can totally see him scoring against City because narrative and stuff. And so yeah, I don't disagree. I don't think. I mean, a lot of people have sold him for Wilson, and I guess that's one of the moves I could make if we don't get good City news. But I'm not too worried about holding him. And his Gameweek 16 fixture's okay.
Yeah, I looked at he's playing Man United at home next, isn't he? He's got
which
City
is
away.
Fine with me. Like it's not great, but it's fine.
I'd back Mitrovic against anyone pretty much to score. So I mean he might not, but as in I think he's capable. So I put him in. I'm leaving him in.
What are your feelings on Saka and Zaha? Because I think if I'm correct, flip back to your team, you do have. Yeah, you have Saka and Zaha. You have Almiron as well, which is a lovely pick. What's your feelings on those two?
As soon as I picked Almiron, it's one of these rare occasions in FPL. As soon as I picked him, he scored 30 points in 3 weeks or whatever. It was 40 points. So yeah, I've had him for the good run. I haven't just jumped on him. I've had him for about 4, 5, 6 game weeks.
Lovely. That must be
I
nice
nearly had him in my
first
team of. I nearly had him in the first team of the season because if you remember, he had like one of the best pre-seasons. I think he was level with Harry Kane or something in terms of goals in pre-season. So at Fest, where we were on pre-season day, first deadline day for the first game, a lot of people were talking about Almiron. It wasn't seen as ridiculous, and then he kind of went off the boil a bit, and then now he's exploded into life. So
yeah,
and there's one reason for that, and people don't like me saying it. There's one reason. It's Trippier playing behind him.
Yeah,
it's absolutely 100%. Because Newcastle play a lopsided way. They play up all the way down the right, and Dan Burn will tuck in at left back to be a third centre back. So everything's like that. So Trippier moves up, which gives Almiron the freedom because Trippier is so good at the back. Anyway, this isn't a Newcastle United podcast, but it's just interesting.
I mean, we've got a Newcastle United fan on. He's got a fire in the background, so I will listen to your studied learnings from Newcastle. I think.
Thanks.
I think as well, like you say that. I think that Trippier Almiron kind of reminds me a bit of a budget, dare I say, version of the Trent and Salah from old, where one could maybe release the other to be a bit freer in terms of coming inside. And Trippier's been hoovering up the bonus points and a few assists this season himself, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Trippier, I said at the start of the season, it's the one call I got right. He's the best 5.0 defender by far, and that's proven to be the case. He's a bonus points magnet as well, which I've never understood why that works, but it does. And there's people who understand it, so that's fine. But yeah, so he's a bonus points magnet. He's amazing from set pieces. He's got a few assists, and he's the leader in our team. He's such a good signing. As soon as we got taken over, I said on Twitter, we need to sign Trippier, and people laughed. People like FPL Sports Science, who does, what's he do with FF Scout Luke? What was that podcast called? Inspected Goals.
Inspected Goals, yeah, which is great.
And he laughed at me saying, he's just won La Liga, mate. He's not going to come to you. Yada, yada, yada. Right, first signing, got him, and it was the perfect signing that has set us off on this trajectory towards the moon.
Indeed.
So
I mean,
it's great.
I think I said the pre-season, I was like, yeah, I like Newcastle, but everyone seems to have them like finishing top 6. I'm not sure I quite see that. Like, why? I mean, right now it's not top 6, it's top 4 maybe, if this can be kept going. It's impressive.
I've been scarred for supporting them too long. I don't think we'll finish top 4. I think top 6 would be incredible. If you offered top 6 to a Newcastle fan now, or any sensible thinking Newcastle fan, they'd bite your hand off.
Yeah.
I think I was just hoping top 8 this season, really, like just progress.
I mean, you feel like maybe a year ahead of your progress. But speaking of progress, lineup news. Do we have any, my friend?
I forgot I haven't made my moves, have I? Right, okay.
No, you've got to make sure I'm still logged in, actually.
Yeah.
So I can actually do stuff.
It's not going to... Haaland and Foden benched. Source, team news and ticks.
But is that...
That is
so
the real
like,
team news and
how many
ticks.
followers? What's Boona doing? I need...
Hang on. Adam from Above Average FPL has tweeted... This is all I'm saying. Okay. He says... Let's see what people are saying in the comments. He says, Haaland and Foden benched. Source, team news and ticks. And that is the real team news and ticks. So let's see if anyone else has said that. Guys, please help us in the chat, because I've got to make my moves.
Help!
I don't care if this is...
Basically, what we need is some serious
everyone's tweeting
cross-referencing.
it. No Haaland, no Foden. No Haaland, no Foden. Haaland bench, Foden bench. They're all tweeting it. Yes, I've got none of them.
Just before, so like I'm literally pressing the buttons right now to like get rid of Haaland. But just before we do, before anyone rushes, if you bought him when he came out at like 11.5, whatever it was, he's now, is it 12.2, 12.1? 0.3 is what you lose. What do we think about that? If he's back next week, he's obviously back after the World Cup. Are we happy to take that hit for what could be a 1 or 2 week thing?
I'll be honest, Seb. I'm really happy for you all to take that hit, because I took him out last week, so it doesn't make a difference to me.
It's a good point, well made.
Yeah,
but in your sage,
yeah, okay. I think I've never really looked at team value too much. Yeah. I think it sometimes can lead you to making slightly rash decisions. Now, I make enough rash decisions on my own, so I do not need another factor making me make rash decisions. So, everyone's tweeting it, by the way. No Haaland, no Foden. So,
goodness.
Even Let's Talk FPL has said it as well. I reckon I'm getting Alvarez and KDB in then. That's made it up for me. Alvarez and KDB are coming in for me. Yeah, this is so exciting! Yes!
I might well do the same. Ed or chat, can you do me a favour as well? My volume in my own ears has gone a bit weird, so just let me know I still sound okay. Because John's surprise, I have problems with my volume always.
No, you sound fine. I thought you were about to say, mate, the volume in my ears is really loud. Can you stop screaming?
Nah, it's all good, mate. I don't listen to anything you say. I just wait for the picture to stop moving and I'd say something about Man City. Yeah.
Wise. Okay, I'm going to just try this out, guys. I'm bringing in... Oh, this is so exciting. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm bringing in Alvarez, right, for Mitrovic. And I've got 6.7 million in the bank. Right. So
KDB.
I can bring KDB in. Who should I bring him out? Who should I take out?
But you should bring Salah in.
No.
I mean,
I could even take Andreas out at 4.5 and bring KDB in.
I mean,
could I? No, I couldn't.
Oh no, but Andreas is. I think you want to hold Andreas. Just speaking of transfer value for after, because he's going to be your first bench forever. So
I think it comes down to Saka or Zaha. Right. Is Saka definitely fit?
Yeah, he played midweek. He came off bench.
Did he? Okay.
So this week, so Chelsea are still Chelsea, but we know their defense hasn't been as good as maybe you'd like, both in terms of real numbers and underlying numbers. And yes, I did just say real numbers. Stick to beat me with. But looking at Zaha then, so this week is West Ham away, which is fine, but if he's not getting penalties, he's not scoring. It's then Forest away. Now Forest are terrible, but Zaha runs at like 0.3 xGI per 90 with pens. Saka's like at 0.5 with pens. So I'd be tempted to lose Zaha because Saka's got Wolves away next week. It feels like the fixtures are obviously slightly in Zaha's favour, but the player quality and team quality is in Saka's favour.
Do you know what I love? You're not even considering removing Almiron. This is brilliant.
I don't have Almiron. You have him.
Yeah, I know, but you mean me to get rid of Almiron?
Nailed, mate. Nailed.
KDB, yeah. I think Zaha. I think Zaha's the one, isn't it? So if I do that, this is so exciting. I've still got 1.6 million in the bank, but that means Alvarez. I've got Alvarez, Kane, so I've kept Kane for those fixture against Liverpool and then Leeds. And I've just got rid of Zaha and Mitrovic. Mitrovic. I just talked about Mitrovic for about 20 minutes about how amazing he is. But...
the FPL site's down.
Is it actually?
Yeah, legit.
I've got 13 minutes. Do I make the moves? Do I make these moves?
I mean,
But
you
what about
can't.
Mitrovic?
You can't at the moment, my friend. The site's down.
Oh my goodness, it is down. Error.
Haaland captain for me, and Cancelo vice as it stands. With
Why? This is a multi-billion-pound organisation. What is wrong with them?
I mean, the Premier
What is
League is
wrong with
FPL.
them?
Not so
That is
much.
ridiculous.
I'm trying on my phone now. People in the chat, let us
13
know if you get in.
minutes. I'm writing a letter of complaint to the government. I'm contacting my MP.
This
is outrageous.
It'll be the most well-spoken letter. Be like,
Yeah.
I'll have you know that
Sir,
something inside of me has been stirred with anguish and anger.
This is outrageous. It's not 1 minute to. I haven't been foolish. It's 12 minutes to. Oh, I am so angry right now.
Oh yeah,
I've been wanting to make these moves all week. I really wanted De Bruyne and Alvarez. Oh, sending transfer request. It's loading. Success.
Have you done it? Have you got yours?
Yeah. Yes, I've done it.
Was that on? Oh, you're on the app.
That's on the app. That's on the app.
It won't let me log in.
I'm captaining De Bruyne. I've got to change my captain. Confirm.
Let me log in.
It's not letting me change my captain. It's not letting me change my captain. Oh, it's to change my captain. Yes, I'm in.
I need you to do mine for me, pal.
I've done. Yeah, well, tell me. I'll flip and do it. Look, I'm done. De Bruyne captain, all done.
Shall I give out my my password on stream?
Just do it.
That'll
Yeah,
end well.
fine,
I'm sure. Yeah, that'll go really well.
It's not like passwords for FPL have ever gone missing or gone wrong before, is it?
No, I can't recall that. No,
I can't remember anything about that. So
my volume is still doing weird things. I don't know. I fixed it last week.
You sound brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
Your voice is at the perfect level.
Oh, yeah. Silent.
Yeah. I think it's gone through. Hang on. It has gone through, hasn't it? Pick team. Yeah, it's gone through. De Bruyne captain, Alvarez up front with Kane and Jesus. So I took a -4, but I am happy with that.
So the rest of this stream is going to be Seb trying to log into his FPL account. Enjoy that, everyone.
This is perfect. This is great. This is what people want to see. It's the pain that people love. They love witnessing other people struggle to make
uncool. Legit, I'm going to text you because my app won't work either. I am legit going to text you. Will you app or browser on the mobile?
App.
Okay, I'm legit going to text you my login information. So do with it as you will.
Okay. Go. I've got pretty good internet here, so maybe I've.
Yeah, so the only thing that can go wrong here is you share my information. You bring in like Patrick Bamford and Pascal Strauch, and good times.
No, don't worry. You can do that if you want, but hurry up because there's only 10 minutes.
Don't need that pressure, pal. I don't need that pressure.
Where are you sending it me?
Twitter.
Okay, right.
DM. Well, this is possibly the biggest mistake I've ever made, frankly. Okay, cool. Well, enjoy.
I've got it, guys. What should I do? Vote in the comments.
Right, so here's what I want.
Yeah, hang on.
I want.
Let me log in first.
Okay.
Don't say it out loud.
Yeah, literally, like 1, 2, 3, password.
Hang on. This is brilliant. I could hold you to ransom here. Oh, crikey. Can't type quick enough. Okay,
it's just let me log in.
Ah, okay.
I think it's being unreasonably slow.
Do you want me to still log in?
Yeah, go for it if you get there quicker. Probably kick me out on it.
What a very safe password you've got. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, I'm signing
in. Don't do anything, because in theory, I'm in as it stands, sort of. So don't do anything. Let me just see if I can.
Right, okay.
I mean, if you can see my team, let me know what it is.
I can't yet. It says checking for existing team current. Ah, right. Now it's in.
Yep.
Pablo Heskey, VAR.
That's the one. Pablo Heskey.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Right, what do you want me to do?
So, do I have Haaland still?
Oh, let's see. Oh, it's just crashed. Oh, my word. No, it's all right. Oh, now it's logged back into me. No.
Sabotage.
Oh, there is something going wrong here. Tell you what. It's making me do it again. This is a multi-billion-pound... I'm writing to my MP on behalf of you.
Okay, I think I'm in on the app as well now, so let's see.
This is what deadline streams have become, just people desperately crying and trying to log into a little app for a game that doesn't make us any money or anything. It's just...
I'm normally on the okay side of this, so bad times. So this is what it's like. Oh yeah, mate, this is not gonna happen. I don't think I'm getting... 2 transfers next week sounds exciting. What should I do with that?
I'm going to get you in, mate. I'm going to save you.
Okay, I believe in you.
I don't.
Right, while Ed's doing that, people chuck any questions you've got in the chat. I guess it probably doesn't matter because you can't make transfers. But rather than just watching me cry at Ed, By all means, chuck questions in and I'll answer them. I'll get this one first as well. How sad are you feeling right now?
I'm in.
10
So
is the answer.
you've got De Bruyne and you've got Alvarez captain.
Have I actually?
Yeah.
Okay, change captain to De Bruyne, please.
Captain to De Bruyne. Confirm. This is your team, right? Pope, Cancelo, Trippier, Dunk, Perisic.
Sounds about right to me. Mitrovic first on the bench.
Right. Now I'm having trouble changing the captain. But
I mean, that's not the end of the world.
oh my goodness, it's gone to Dunk. I'm so sorry.
I'd almost leave that one to serendipity, like, Alvarez or De Bruyne. Make the other one the vice, depending on which way it goes.
Right. Okay. Yep. It's currently just not letting me change.
Right. So people in the chat then. My volume is being an absolute. Maybe it's just me. I
think it's just you. You sound fine to me.
Cheers. So the way Ed has got in is the Android app.
No, Apple app.
So he's got in with the Apple app. I couldn't get in on the Android app. I could get in on the mobile browser, but it was just like crashing. And then the Chrome browser wouldn't let me do anything either. So if you have an Apple, that might be the way. Sorry.
Right. I've got De Bruyne as captain now.
Cool.
I'm now just trying to change the vice to Alvarez.
Yeah.
And I think that's done.
I mean, I'll take, if Vice goes on Pope, I guess I'll take it. Don't do that, but,
Yeah.
I feel like this is a win, considering what could have happened.
Well, I think we were lucky that we started straight away, because there'll be people doing it in 5 minutes' time with 2 minutes to go. They're really going to struggle.
Yeah.
Right, you're done, mate. You're done.
Ed, my friend, you absolute legend.
You're done.
Look at that. So when this goes terribly, when Foden does start and scores a hat trick, I can just come straight to you and blame you.
Well, the only thing is with that, all of FPL Twitter thinks they're not. So all the people who are really engaged in FPL have taken them out or benched them, or there will be some people going, I'm just going to leave him as captain because he could come on and get a hat trick. But
this is our so often, obviously, people who are engaged. I'm not a giant fan of the casual tags, so it's basically just who's willing to do this on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Our edge,
who are the losers?
Yeah. Our edge over people who don't do that often comes in the second half of the season, when we can basically follow spreadsheets on Twitter and plan our chips really carefully. Moments like this should also, in theory, be an edge, because we're here, we're ready to do it. We've also have plans. We know in 20 seconds I can make my transfers because I know what they are. But the irony is that, actually, like you say, we're running around panicking, making all these changes. The people who just did it on Friday, A, are chill, and B, aren't responding to this news and might even get off fine. People have just done Mitrovic to Wilson, Haaland's captain, Cancelo's vice. Cancelo scores a goal, keeps a clean sheet, Wilson scores a brace, and they're like, what was all the stress?
Points.
Yeah, what was all the stress, guys?
Guys, if anyone else is struggling, just send me your login info.
Yeah, I've got to go change my password now too. Please don't log in for me yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite happy with that, because I know we got rid of Mitrovic. I was happy to play Mitrovic.
Yeah, so you've done yours, yeah?
I've done mine. But I've kept Kane now for Liverpool at home and Leeds at home.
It's not terrible.
And I mean, he's only blanked 3 games a season, 2 games or something.
I mean, the thing with obviously my team's full of pen takers, as most people's were, but your Sakas, your Zahars, your Kanes, no matter what their underlying baseline is, so Zaha not as good, Saka fine, Kane pretty good, there's always the penalties. So even if Liverpool isn't as good as it should be as a fixture, isn't as easy as you'd want as a fixture, even though it's maybe a bit better than the past, there's just that penalty wildcard. If they earn a penalty, he's probably scoring it, and that's just a nice little blanket to have.
Can I just say, I am an actual genius.
Go on then.
I transferred out Haaland and Foden last week.
For 2 extra
I
points.
didn't have them last week for 2 players who returned.
Yeah.
And this week, now, I've got the freedom to go, whoever I've brought in.
To go what? Sorry, mate, I didn't catch that. What was that?
Good to sort of, attack the game week, not react.
Nice. That was some vicious attacking there. I appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
To be fair, I know you said your wildcard wasn't a success, but that was out of your hands in terms of Darwin and Mitrovic.
Yeah, that was particularly bad. So I was 5 millionth then, and I've
so you've gone to so effectively okay, so the wildcard didn't help in the first week, but if you've gone from 5 million to 1 million with that base that you set up, I think that's pretty decent, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd love to get two big greens now. I've got a chance now with this, hopefully, but I'd love to get 2 big greens and be sort of 700k before the World Cup. That would be good for me. So,
fair.
I've got someone in the chat there. I can see, Ed, can you update my team too?
I mean,
sure.
That's between you and Ed. Send him a DM.
Yeah, I've got 3 minutes. I doubt I'll be able to log in and stuff now, but there you go. I'm just going to look on Twitter and see if anyone else is struggling with the carnage.
Can I just say, genuinely, thank you for that. Actually, genuinely. That was very, very kind.
Okay, do not worry.
So, did we get any questions in the chat? We've got Haaland captain, Trippier vice. That sounds all right. I mean, what, Trippier, Southampton away? That's okay. You know, you might get yourself a clean sheet there. Obviously, you'd rather have some others, but that's not the end of the world, seeing as some people will have Haaland captain, Foden vice, probably. Yeah. Oh, we have a poll. I'm assuming someone who isn't me has done that. So we have a poll in the chat, which is we have Haaland minutes this week.
Well,
we know. So yeah, good poll.
Up to date poll here.
I guess. I mean, start on play 60, so you know it's not that. Presumably, I guess we have bench and 15 to 30 minute cameo. Yeah. Bench and not played. Yeah. We've not discussed that, right? No Haaland doesn't mean he's not on the bench.
Yeah,
he could come on for 15 and.
What was the news? Was it not in the squad?
It was not starting,
benched,
right? Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, there's definitely a world where he comes on at half time.
Yeah.
We've seen him score a hat trick and a half. He scores a hat trick, and everyone who got rid of him looks very, very silly.
Can I just read some of these tweets? These poor people.
Go for it.
Andy.
Oh, we have 2 minutes before the deadline, by the way, team. If you can get in.
Andy, sight down. This is ridiculous. FPL Raptor app isn't working for me, unfortunately, so I'm stuck with no transfer made and Haaland captaincy unless it starts working. FPL Ash, I guess I've missed the Almiron train again. So for a lot of people, it's not working. Yeah, it's just a lot of people. Gosh, yeah, we all need to write to our MP about this. This is absolutely absurd.
My MP was Chancellor for about a week, so I don't know how that's going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure he knows what website.
Dear sir, I represent a community of
madam,
like-minded people. Madam. Yes, dear sir or madam. Yes, of course. To whom it may concern.
To all interested parties.
To all interested parties, I represent a group of people, 10 million strong, who are absolutely flabbergasted at the appalling state of the FPL Twitter app. It's run almost as badly as your cabinet. Yours, FPL community.
Yours, Angie Boys. Yeah. Nice. Oh, that's a nice template. We'll get that up. That's good. Okay, we have 1 minute, probably under left. Again, if anyone's struggling, the way Ed managed to do it for me was the Apple mobile app. That might be your only chance, although it was still slow. If you do get in, I think do your captain before transfers. Because there's more steps to confirm a transfer, and it's obviously a longer process. Just get your captain set, get your vice set. Keep it on Haaland if you want. He might come off the bench. But get your captain and vice set, and then try transfers. And remember, if you make a transfer, it's going to, if you take out Haaland, it's going to captain the player you brought in for them before you can change. And I believe the deadline's passed, so that advice was useless. No worries, I got your back. Okay, so that is 1:30. Deadline is locked. Ed, remind us what you managed to do other than save my credibility.
Saved your career, but also what I managed to do was end up with a team. I actually changed my keeper as well. So I put Ward in goal against Everton rather than Ramsdale against Chelsea.
Oh, that's reasonable. That's a good shout.
I think that's right. And then it's Trippier, Trent, Cancelo, De Bruyne captain, Almiron, Saka, Rashford, Alvarez, Kane, and Jesus. So I brought in Alvarez for Mitrovic, and I brought in De Bruyne for Zaha.
Nice. I rate that. I think we made the same transfers. So your previous team was on the screen. I'll run through mine now as well here for anyone interested. Pope, Cancelo, Trippier, Dunk, Salah, Saka. It's now KDB over Zaha. Martinelli. It's now Alvarez over Haaland. Mitrovic is benched for Perisic, and I have Solanke starting. My captaincy is on KDB, presumably, depending on how good Ed is with paint and screenshots in that short period of time we had. But yeah, with luck, we have reasonable teams. I hope everyone in the chat did as well. So, I mean,
did anyone struggle? Did anyone get locked out? I mean, I guess quite a lot did.
I mean, the chat doesn't look an entirely happy place, which I feel like I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, so there aren't many people with Haaland and Foden. So it's probably only one of these you've suffered. I think if you had Haaland and he's captain, I don't think it's the end of the world. What you've probably missed the best before hindsight comes in, captain this week. But you still have Haaland. He could still come on and score. It's not the end of the world. I think Foden's more of a problem because that's probably meaning you're playing like an Andreas or Mitrovic when you don't want to. And you're missing that next City threat that a lot of people have wanted. Obviously, if you've got Haaland and Foden, that's pretty painful. But I think that's probably rarer. What do you reckon?
What percentage of the top 10k do you think have KDB and Alvarez like we do? It must be pretty good.
I mean,
must be pretty low.
it will have just gone up about 1,000%.
Yes.
But I feel pretty happy that Alvarez is going to be. I mean, what was his ownership? Oh,
we don't even know.
I was about to check his ownership on that website that works.
Yeah. We don't even know whether he starts. We've assumed, but obviously, or KDB. Imagine if they're all benched.
Yeah, imagine.
Oh,
I mean,
my word.
KDB false 9 would have been nice, but yeah. Imagine. So what? Okay, well, what could it be like? You could have Grealish up front. You could have Mahrez one side. Or you couldn't really have Bernardo the other. I mean, I think
you play a false 9 system with no, not Foden.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Grealish, Mahrez.
You can't have a team that doesn't have Foden and Haaland, doesn't have Alvarez. I don't think with the squad that Pep's got at the moment. And we know what he likes, right? We know he likes width, at least from one position on either side where possible. Against teams that may sit back and counter, he'll play Grealish to sort of slow the possession down. I don't know if that'll be Fulham that much. So I think we can take a decent guess at what the lineup might be.
Yeah.
So we think Alvarez up front, Grealish left, Mahrez right.
Yeah.
Bernardo, De Bruyne, and Rodri. I guess could be Gundogan with Bernardo right, but I don't know if we'd get Bernardo and Grealish in the same team because that feels like a lot of holding possession. I'm not sure. This is where we need Luke, and then the defense. Who knows about centre backs? And it'll be Cancelo and Akanji probably.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the team writes itself. It's just those front three really at the moment.
Yeah. City top
well,
scorer today. So we've got a poll in the chat again.
In 27 minutes, we'll find out.
I have no idea who's doing these polls, by the way, but I'm very grateful.
I kind of wish I captained Alvarez now. That would have been very nice. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like owning him's enough, and yeah, captaining would be tasty, but it's not like you're just getting another Haaland. Like, his game is different to Haaland's. He obviously doesn't have the same points potential. I think the highest points potential in that team now is KDB, which links into that poll we've got here. So City's top scorer today, KDB, Mahrez, Alvarez, or Haaland. You know what? I'd put Cancelo in there. I think Cancelo. I mean, they probably keep a clean sheet, and his attacking numbers haven't been as good this season. But obviously, goal, assist, and he's right up there. He's probably their top or second top scorer.
Imagine that it's Boona has absolutely aced this, and somehow
imagine. You know what? I wouldn't even be mad because you'd have to respect
I'd
that level of graft. Yeah. At that point, it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah,
fool me twice within the entirety of Twitter.
Yeah,
fair. So I was before all this all went down. I had a little plan for today. We were going to share our teams. We were going to make nice, considered transfers and feel very clever about ourselves. And then I was going to ask you about your approach to FPL because I think it's different to mine. But I could go that direction, or obviously, we joked about writing to your MP or whatever. But in all seriousness, like, this has happened a couple of weeks in a row. It's obviously a server thing because we get late news. That raises a few questions. Obviously, investments in servers, blah blah blah. I feel it's difficult to answer that question because we don't know behind the scenes. This is effectively a marketing tool for the Premier League. It has light dev support, I would assume. I think it does a good job, although this is poor on days like today. And they have responded to things like the password stuff in the past. But really, maybe this comes down to the deadline conversation again. Because if the deadline was either kickoff or, 4 hours ago, do we get this mad rush when we get leaks and team news? What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen this conversation started on Twitter, hasn't it? And it's like, should it be the midnight the night before, or should it be this, that, or the other? Because and the argument seems to be mainly it's unfair. Well, there's two things. One, the server's crashing, but it's unfair that in our time zone, we're going to get the news. But if you're playing in, Fiji, you've got to get up at 3 a.m. to get this sort of late team news. And it's happened again this week. We've got late team news. Assuming it's correct. We've had some reliable news that Haaland, that's a huge thing, right? And there'll be millions of players who aren't even aware of this yet and don't even know, have no idea that Haaland isn't starting. So it is a leg up. Now, the servers crashing is another thing. It does seem to me that the Premier League being a multi-billion pound organisation and FPL being such a big game now, it's mad that it crashes not just 1 week, but 2 weeks in a row. So I'm looking at some of the comments here because obviously Fantasy Premier League have tweeted deadline passed. All the comments are Yeah,
That's a
you know,
little tone deaf. Although, like, there's no guarantee that the admin has any idea what's going on. It's probably been an intern who doesn't get paid enough to tweet that.
well, yeah, FPL Raptor Ross has said, honestly, I know it's not the admin's fault, but the lack of acknowledgement from FPL for the disgraceful excuse for server is quite embarrassing. You can tell he didn't get to do his team. But given that, the thing for me is, given that FPL now is it's becoming professionalized in areas in terms of, Raptor runs a YouTube channel where he's doing really well. And
some people do deadline streams with fires behind them, like.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But this the thing. Like, people make money from this now. There's companies and stuff. There's careers. Not very many people do it full time, but there are careers based on this. And say Raptor has an awful game week this week, but because he couldn't make his transfer, that makes a real difference to his life, actually. So that's where you start getting into some proper discussions where you go, okay, hang on, should the FPL servers not actually be replaced, increased? Surely the Premier League know it's an issue. Surely they can see afterwards what went wrong.
So my day job is obviously sort of in gaming and stuff. So while my expertise is obviously not things like servers, I'm aware of how some of this works often. And I think, while I agree improvements would be most welcome and encouraged, it isn't just, like I say, a straightforward improve your servers, get more servers, get more tech, whatever that nice line on Twitter might be, because obviously servers are very, very expensive, and there's various things you can do. You don't have to have them the whole week and things, but most of the week there's no traffic problem with FPL at all, like literally no problem. It comes when loads and loads of people want to get on in a very short space of time, and it's like the old water pipe analogy for traffic, where it flows perfect until one extra car comes in and the whole thing's congested. It's a bit like that, where like if 99% of their time the servers are fine, should they double their investment to improve the last 10 minutes? Now, you could argue yes. From our point of view, yes. From their point of view, is that necessarily a smart use of their funds when they could be hiring a UI dev to improve that experience instead, or something like that?
And I suppose that leads you, if you think that, to more the argument, change the deadline so these big surges don't happen.
And so for me, I mean, then that's a separate conversation, because you mentioned there, time zones, that's an extremely important consideration. I think you're never going to win on time zones. Someone will be getting up in the middle of the night. Someone will be staying up late. Of course, you could maybe try and look at where your players are based in the world and have minimum effect there. But then there's also leaks, right? We had our leak today at 1:10. That's an arbitrary time. Someone hasn't been given a team sheet at 1:10. They either had that maybe 10 minutes ago, maybe 4 hours ago. Pep doesn't name his team an hour before kickoff to the players and the staff. He may well name it in training the night before so they know what the lineup is. Maybe he waits until the last second. But it isn't when they give that team sheet to the press and to the TV companies. So moving the deadline isn't also a simple solution to remove leaks, because what's to say the person who has the leak doesn't have it the night before? What's to say they don't, the person doing this leak doesn't know where people were sat on the bus, or what shirts are being laid out in the ground the next day, right? Because, the kit people have to know that. It's quite speculative, but it isn't just a simple solution again. For me personally, I would move it to the deadline itself. Now, of course, that brings the server question back in, because real leaks, that's not a leak, real team news would be even worse. Of course, today we have a few matches all at 3:00. Normally it would just be one match. Real news for one match doesn't feel too bad for me. And for people getting up at a horrible time, at least they'd get the truth. They wouldn't get speculation. At least they'd know the lineup.
They wouldn't get Boona.
Exactly. So there is not an ideal solution, and I don't think anyone on Twitter arguing this or that thinks that there's only one right way. For me, I would make it kick off like, say, the Sky game, but I acknowledge that as someone who lives in the UK, that's a privileged position. And there are Americans, there are people in Asia who that might be the worst solution for them.
Although, I think I probably agree with you in terms of, I know it's obviously not ideal for people around the world, but ultimately, just speak facts. This is a game based in England. This is the Premier League. And therefore, if you're playing, I wouldn't expect, if I was playing NFL Fantasy, for them to move the deadline for people in England. I'd be thinking, I'm playing a game that's in America, or, Japan, or whatever, wherever, right? So I know that Premier League is a global product, but it is based here. So the most sensible thing to where the deadline can fall is around the games, something in relation to the games that are happening, and they're in England. It's just a fact, I think. So I think we can get too caught up going, it's unfair on people around the world. It is, but that's just because we're a game in England and we can't all be at the same time. So, but I think I agree with you, leaving it to the first deadline so everyone's in the same position. Leaving it to the first kickoff so everyone's in the same position would get rid of a lot of issues. but maybe create other issues in terms of surges towards that deadline.
I think that would be my choice, but I would acknowledge that it's not a choice that doesn't come with its own costs.
There's not an ideal, is there? Really,
no.
It's not,
And I think
perfect.
I hear you on the UK thing, and you're not wrong. But I guess, firstly, I'd love us to be as inclusive as possible, and also half the point of FPL, us in the UK, we're engaged in the Premier League anyway. This, from the Premier League's point of view, they probably want this to be as appealing, if not more appealing, to emerging markets. The Asian market, the American market, the Oceanic, wherever it is, people who maybe aren't always engaged with the Premier League because it's on at 3 a.m. or whatever. This is a way for them to interact and for the Premier League to effectively unlock their wallets. So I think they might almost be tempted to cater to them rather than us.
Sure. Whether that's the correct, whether that is sort of, it's hard to go what's right, isn't it? Because obviously, they're using it, to get people involved in the Premier League and yada. And I spoken to the always cheating guys when we went to New York with Fest, and they were saying they can't believe how small FPL is. NFL over there, there's hundreds of millions of people playing it.
Yeah.
You think Premier League is probably the biggest sports league in the world. Why are there not more? Their point is it should be 100 million. Why is it only 10? We talk about 10 being lots. Josh and Brandon, I know, because I've spoken to them, would be like, it needs to get bigger. So if FPL are going to get bigger, there is some investment that needs to happen.
You hear that, Premier League? You're not big enough. Ed says you must go more global.
Yeah, more global, more,
More seats, more money.
Only if you increase your servers first.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so I think we've gone around on that one, and I think it's fair to say we don't know. We have preferences, but we don't know. Ideally, though, we wouldn't have happened what just happened, because I only have the team I want today because Ed was kind to me and I got lucky. There are a lot of people in the chat through no fault of their own. Like, you can say, you should make your transfers the night before, but we knew there was vital information coming. It was smart to wait. I'm not having that, you should have made it earlier. That's not on these people. Sure, you could have set up vice captains or whatever, but everyone did. So for me then, maybe a slightly more positive, maybe more interesting conversation at this stage is, I did mention, I think you play FPL a little differently to me. Speaking of, selling Haaland or maybe taking more hits, wildcarding in game week 2.
And you're more successful than me.
Well, we'll see, right? It's game week 15, and you just saved me, so we'll hold that for at least another 20 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you get out of FPL personally, and how do you like to approach it? If that's not too broad a question.
Yes, all right. I've actually tightened up how I play a little bit. I was just a feels guy. I'd love taking hits all the time and going for that, going against an obvious pick, because if they blanked, all the anti-math stuff that doesn't really make much sense, but it's great for if it comes off, you look like a legend. Yeah. But this season I've taken way less hits, still more than the average person, I think, but way less. And I've realised probably the value of points, so the value of a transfer. If you use 4 points, you've got to have the person coming in doing very well for that to work, right? So get 6 points minimum, and then you just break even. So the way I play it, I know there's obviously the big debate on sort of FPL world, that if you want to polarize it completely, is like the stats and the grass FC, those that just look at the numbers. This is an exaggeration of it, but just look at the numbers and don't even need to see the names. The one with the numbers, you go, that one. And then at the other end, you've got people who would ignore all that and just go, they looked great, that one. I would probably fall somewhere towards the middle, but towards grass rather than analytics. I definitely see the value in stats. I think they're sometimes hugely overused and overweighted. And I think, for example, I just can't get out of my head, stats like XG, which are obviously very helpful. Gaza in Euro 96 against Germany slides in and nearly scores. And it would have changed the whole game, and England should have won if Gaza was a bit fitter. That won't show up in any stat because he didn't touch the ball. Things like that just make me go, and the amount of times I've watched games where I go, the move is one click away. We're just one pass away from getting a great opportunity, but none of that will show in XG or anything like that because, so I just think there's nuance. You've got to look at the stats with a bit of nuance and a bit of knowledge of football and watching games. So that's what I like to do. I chuck that all in and then I make a pick. And that's how I like to play. And I think that's probably how most people probably want to play. It's just sometimes it's overstated.
There are two things that stand out for me there. Firstly, it's a game. Like you derive your enjoyment from it in whatever fashion you see fit, whether that's trying to finish number 1, whether it's enjoying Fulham versus Southampton, or whether it's just that joy of picking Alvarez, captaining him, and it coming off. All of those are entirely valid and equally valid ways of playing. Of course, on FPL Twitter, we're doing a deadline stream. We do focus on one of those, which is a high rank and, that optimal or whatever, that way to play. But that doesn't mean it's right in the sense of right because it's a free game. For me, where I derive my enjoyment is being successful in terms of one number is smaller than another number. Fine, whatever. But there are definitely times, for example, captaining Salah against Leeds last week, even if Haaland had been available, well, I'll allow, that emotion to get involved. It was an emotional hedge. It's my team. If Salah goes nuts, I'm going to not enjoy my day. So why not get a little bit of respite with him being my captain? That'll only happen twice a season, but I'm happy to do that. And that's someone who's normally quite extreme at the other end. Yeah. The other thing, what you said that jumped out to me, which I think is a really interesting point and worth mentioning, is you're entirely right. XG would not pick up that Gascoigne chance, but it's not meant to. So I think sometimes, and you're right, watch the match is a great way to add more context and supplement your understanding of the game through stats, through the context and what else is happening, the things the stats won't pick up. But XG obviously is basically a measure of chance quality, and chance quality is defined as a shot being got away. So Gascoigne wouldn't have been picked up in that, but there is.
That was very high chance quality.
So there's something called expected threat, which would have picked that up, which is kind of, I guess, the next level XG, which is effectively like the cumulative chance of, I think, off the top of my head, the definition is something like the chance of the action turning into a goal in the next 3 actions, where like an action will be a dribble, a pass, a cross, a shot, whatever. So like, a shot from the penalty spot is going to have a very high expected threat and obviously a high expected goal. But a deep pass from the first third of the pitch is not going to register on XG at all and will be low on X threat, but it will appear because sometimes 3 moves later or 3 actions later, a goal happens. So the Gaza one would have been picked up because that ball into the box would have a value attached to it, where sometimes someone slides in and scores, even though he didn't, it would be worth a value. So I'm not expecting someone now to go and chase down XT and go all through that, but I think it's just understanding what XG is trying to tell you. And whether you choose to supplement that by watching the match and understanding that it hasn't picked something up, or whether you just choose to go, XG is an average. And, every now and again it'll be off, but over a big enough sample, it's pretty good. I think both of those are valid ways of using it.
100%. Yeah. Everyone should play how they want. There's no judgment at all on anyone how they play, of course. I think, the wilder strategies, the better for me. But the thing that always gets me as well about XG, and I know there is an answer to this, I just still don't understand it, is it doesn't take the individual into account. So there's overperforming and underperforming XG. Someone like Son would overperform, so you go, okay, he's got this many XG, that's really good, go for it, whatever. But take it to extremes, which you do with arguments to show whether they work. If and say, not me, say an amateur footballer, really amateur, not very good, but they were really strong and really athletic, so they could get to the places that they needed to be in a Man City side, and they started up front for 10 game weeks in a row. De Bruyne was pinging in passes to them and he was shooting, missing everyone because he's rubbish. Would he have a really high XG? And if you just looked at stats, you might pick him.
So I guess from my point of view, I would phrase the answer to that as a question, as all people who like dodging things do.
Yeah, nice. You should be a politician.
Hey, well, I'd fix FPL. So like when you say Son overperforms his XG and therefore using XG for him isn't helpful to me, what is it you think XG is trying to tell you there?
Yeah, I didn't quite say that, but
yes. No, that's a good point. Sorry, that's the example I would use to answer.
Yeah, sure.
So,
no, I think XG is very helpful. I think it's really helpful. I think.
But what does it tell you about Son, about Jesus, about Bamford, about Kane?
When they get a chance, they're more likely to finish it if they overperform XG.
So I think, exactly. So for me, XG is obviously the average, and it can, depending on the model you use, it changes. It's fixed to certain leagues or certain sample sizes. It takes certain things into account. But just assume your model's fine. Yes, an XG of 0.8, which is basically a penalty, is the same for Harry Kane as it is for me, right? If I was somehow on the pitch. But we would then use XG to learn that, Harry Kane always overperforms XG. Therefore, his finishing is good. Therefore, when it's Harry Kane, I could take his XG of 0.6 per 90 into account, but actually say, that means he might score 0.7 per 90 because I know he's a good finisher. Now, I agree that at the point of service, if you like, that isn't helpful because you see a number and it doesn't give you that context. Some, to bring the models into this, some models do that. So they will take the XG and then fit it to a player with historical knowledge of their performance against XG and know that a 0.6 chance for Harry Kane is actually like a 0.7 or something like that.
Right.
There are extra steps, which I agree is not ideal, but it at least allows us to make that calculation.
Yeah.
Is anyone in the chat still listening?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. It's interesting. It is interesting because it does divide people. Not divide people. People get angsty about it on Twitter, don't they? Like everything on Twitter. But yeah, I just find it interesting. I find it interesting. And I think
sorry, just to say, because S1 made a brilliant point there in the chat, which is there's a very easy way to calculate a player's finishing ability relative to XG. I know what that is. That's goals, isn't it? Just, goals versus XG, which I guess is what I could have said much more briefly. Anyway, back over to you.
No, it's good. I think that's absolutely right. I think the only thing that annoys me, and I know it annoys you, and it annoys everyone on Twitter, is when sometimes some people who love stats and all that sort of thing, if you don't do what they do, they act like you're stupid. Some do. Okay, I'm not even naming names, but some make it out as if like they go, why are you doing that? Like you'll say your picks, and they'll say something like, what has brought you to this decision when the XG is this? And he's like, because I'm playing a game. Let me play the game how I want. Just because you've read a stat, and then if your pick beats theirs, then it's just luck and variance. And it's like, okay, well, I can never win then. I can never win. Because if my pick beats yours just on the eye test or whatever, then I'm lucky. But if your pick beats mine, then it's obvious I should have gone with the stats. So it can suck the enjoyment out of it for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's just a failure of communication. We know Twitter is terrible for like nuance. Yeah. But also, the word optimal doesn't mean right or wrong. It means given my parameters, given, rolling this die 1,000 times in my head, the optimal solution was X. Doesn't mean it's the one that's going to happen. It was just the most probable. But unlikely things happen all the time. That's actually why we love football, right? Because Gaza does miss that chance, or someone does score a bicycle kick that was unlikely. That's why it's fun. So I think it's a failure in communication between the two sides that's the case. I don't think people are saying you're an idiot, unless they are. I mean, in that case, I think...
they may well be doing it for other reasons.
In that case, I think don't say that. But I think it's a case of like, look, if you're trying to optimize your chance of getting points, there is a very well-tested method of doing that. But I think the important caveat is the reason people who enjoy stats and models enjoy them is because they also used to just watch football and they wanted a better way. And they found what they think, excuse my word, better. They found what they thought was a more accurate way of judging football and are using it. So it would only follow to say that if a further, more accurate way came along, we should jump on that. And I'm all about that, right? If you can show me that, yourself, as obviously is, often involved in these on Twitter, so I'll mention him. But if anyone who watches a match can describe what's happening and use that to predict future events better than stats, I'll put all the stats in the bin and just listen to that person. Because I'm not interested in being right about my method. I'm interested in scoring the most points.
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. And with I
just can't. You can't argue with that. Like, as in that's obviously true. Like, if there was someone who predicted better than the stats, and there won't be anyone, right? That's the point. Ultimately, over a long enough, time scale, there won't.
Hey, we just pointed out some of the weaknesses with XG, and I guess I countered with expected threat is a bit better. So even then, there's refinements to be made. Right? When XG first came in, I didn't enjoy XG when it first came in. It used to, depending on model, it would be bad at looking at defender positioning. It was bad at looking goalkeeper positioning. It basically just looked at if you take a shot from here, which obviously is massively different if the goalkeeper's on the line or not. So context, this is the horrible thing, right? We want the right answer. There isn't one. It's taking the information you have available and making the decision that best suits what you want out of the game.
Can I just say, I've just looked at the chat. This game week's getting better and better. Apparently, Mitrovic is benched.
Whoa.
And I transferred him out.
Really? Actually, Boona. I'm going to shout Boona.
A lot of people are saying in the group, Rockstar. Apparently, Rockstar.
Really?
Mitro bench. Is it Boona? Right, let's check this.
Boona star.
Okay. Rockstar. Let's check his amount of followers.
Oh, your sound just went very weird.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine. Maybe that was just me. I don't know if you fed yourself back there.
Oh, maybe. Hang on. FPL Rockstar. Let's see what he said. Forget City. Mitrovic needs a rest. Yeah.
Ah, fair play.
And
is that injury he's been carrying then?
Yeah, he's got 100,000 followers. So yeah, it must be. Or maybe
either Boona's done work, or yeah.
Or maybe I don't know. Marco Silva's gone mad and he's changed his whole system to try and counter City. I don't know. That would seem.
Imagine. I mean, so I've benched Mitrovic for Perisic, which probably ends in 1 point either way, if I'm honest. And you sold. We'll bring your team back up here. You sold Mitrovic for Alvarez, I believe.
I did. So this is getting better and better. If Alvarez and KDB start, which we'll find out, I guess, in 4 minutes for sure.
Everything is coming up, Ed. Well, so we'll hang around for about 5 minutes to see what the lineups are, so you can see a grown man break down in tears. and then we'll probably wrap up. But
Yeah.
anyone in the chat, we've obviously, we've gone down a couple of rabbit holes here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know there's been conversations going on, but obviously there's the deadline conversation, but also just how you enjoy playing FPL. What if I was to say, you can only play with one goal in mind, which is, I don't know, having fun, supporting your team, maximizing your points. What would people go for? What would you go for, Ed?
Sorry, say that again. So that's very rude of me. I just looked at how many people
please.
had liked the stream because I was going to say, make sure you like the stream, guys. But go on, say again.
You've done my job for me. You can go for it. Like, subscribe,
stream,
follow
guys,
Ed on
because...
Twitter and in real life.
Oh, yeah, follow me. Oh, of course. If you want more ramblings from a madman, then follow me. No, yeah, do like the stream. And it's amazing. 6 on Scout when you come on these, actually people watch. 712 people watching now, so that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's outrageously kind. And we've got a bunch of people in the chat as well. We've got AJ, Cars, FPL Spartans, Boris. We have FPL Tic Tacs, which is that the Twitter account you were quoting earlier? Is it maybe just someone sharing a name, or have I misremembered?
It might be someone sharing a name. I don't actually know. Oh no, that's a different one.
Is it? Okay. Well, Thank you for coming anyway. And if you ever fancy getting into lineup leaks, we will be your platform.
Alvarez is starting, according to Luke at Disable on Twitter.
Ooh, Luke is good, to be fair. His Man City predictions are excellent. The way, not just getting leaks or anything, but the way he thinks about it. I think he's sort of squashed.
He's got it wrong this week, but yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
He said Haaland and Foden would start. But
yeah, fair. No good. Well, yeah, I take it all back then. Fair.
No. He's good though. I agree.
It's the way of thinking about it. Where he I think he tried to squash the, it's just minutes with Pep, or he rotates loads. There is a pattern to it. Even if it's tough, there is a pattern where we can maybe try and get a bit of an edge.
Yeah.
Thomas Shaw says, "Hi Seb, I hope you're well." I'm very well. Thank you very much.
And there is a poll going on, top scoring forward this week, and Callum Wilson is currently winning. Can I just say it's amazing that Newcastle now, genuine, for years, you'd pick a Newcastle player and it would be a bit stupid, really. And now we're in a time where how many teams have 3 of them? It's unbelievable. It's
this is your transition, friend. You're going to be, your path, it's a question of time, right? It's if not when that you basically become a title challenger.
Yeah, you'd think so. We've started, you couldn't imagine a better start since we were taking over. The signings we've made, everything has been unbelievable. Dan Burn has looked incredible. Trippier, what a signing. Bruno Guimaraes, I don't know how we've ended up with him. Yeah. He is verging on world class. Joe Linton has become an incredible player.
Like a DM basically as well. Yeah,
he's just, I can't compare him to anyone else. I don't know what he's like. He's not, because he destroys everything in midfield, but then he's massively tall, really quick, strong, gets forward. He's Yaya Toure. He's not Yaya Toure though. He's not Kante either. He's just his own athletic centre mid.
He's what Harry Kane wishes
he was. Striker. Yeah, exactly.
Chris James says in answer to why do you play FPL? Hi Chris, by the way, thank you for being around today. I do it for the anguish and wasted time. I think that resonates.
Is that actually Chris James? Is that El Fozzy?
I
thought he was called El Fozzy, or is that another Chris James?
I think El Fozzy on Twitter, Chris James in here.
Oh, right.
I'd say he'll confirm, but if it's not Chris James, they could also just confirm and we'd get booned by Chris James.
Yeah, exactly.
As if booned is going to become a verb. That's nuts.
I know. Well, he's got 20,000 followers today. He got 5,000 the other day. I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, fair play.
For fake. For
lies. Obviously, my personal opinion, and it's only mine, is obviously, I'd probably rather I didn't get catfished effectively.
Yeah.
But it's Twitter. It's about engagement. It's about a bit of fun. Fair play. He's got himself an awesome niche and go for it. And it is, cool. And if you don't want to see stuff, it is easy. Just wait till he's back to Buddha and block him. Or something. Yeah,
just block him, mute him, whatever. But don't get angry at him. Don't have a go at him. He's trying to have fun. It's up to you to work out whether it's true. The amount of rubbish on Twitter. Just look at his handle, work it out. Although he is making it tricky, but that's part of the game.
Ed, 1 minute past 2. Give us some lineups.
Oh, right. Apparently Mitrovic is not even in the squad. I've just seen someone write.
Wow.
Which this is all coming up, Ed, as you said. Let's have a look. Right, team news. How do I get team news?
Probably Twitter, to be fair. Although, Who Scored, SofaScore, BBC, all of those might give it to you.
Right, okay. So I've got the Leeds lineup for you. Leeds lineup.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Got Meslier, Strauch, Christensen, Cooper, Koch, Rocker, Adams, Aronson, Harrison, Somerville, and Rodrigo.
Somerville starts. Nice. And Rodrigo, so that'll be Rodrigo 9, Bamford bench. He's been rotating those two like nobody's business, I think, because as they return to fitness. Somerville starting is nice. I know a few people are looking at him for budget. I would presume then that's going to be Somerville right, Harrison left, Aronson 10, Rodrigo 9. Or maybe the wingers the other way around.
You'd think so. Here's the confirmed City 11.
Go for it.
Alvarez and De Bruyne do start.
Oh, come
Alvarez, Grealish on the left, Silva on the right. De Bruyne, Gundogan and Rodri. Ake, Akanji, Stones and Cancelo, and Edison in goal.
Sweet. So I'd say expected, obviously not 2 hours ago, but about 20 minutes ago when we learned the news, that's probably roughly where we'd go.
Fulham, Mitrovic must be injured. He's not even on the bench. Leno, Tete, Diop, Ream, Robinson, Reed, Paulinho, Wilson, Andreas, Willian and Vinicius.
With no Mitrovic, that Cancelo captaincy suddenly feels like it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm pretty happy with our move to get.
Your moves, I don't trust it until I log in myself and see.
Yeah. No, you did. Yeah, it seemed to actually. Go through for you.
I'll take it.
I'm just trying to find more team news here.
Did we get Haaland and Foden actually on the bench? Sorry, I don't know if you said.
Haaland and Foden are on the bench.
Okay,
I think.
Cool. So there's a sliver of hope for anyone who didn't quite get in for the transfers.
Yes. Where else are we going? Let's go to BBC, see if they're going to give us anything. Lingard is on the bench and Tony's obviously suspended for Forest. So they've Henderson, Aurier, Cook, Williams, Gibbs-White, Johnson, Kouyaté, Yates, Freuler, Dennis and McKenna. And Brentford, Raya, Henry, Pinnock, Jensen, De Silva, Wissa, Me, Mbuemo, Lewis Potter, Janelt and Roerslev.
Nicely pronounced, friend.
Thanks, I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
Wolves,
I think you nailed it.
Sarr, Semedo, Collins, Kilman, Bueno, Traore, Neves, Guedes, Moutinho, Podence and Hichan. Brighton, Sanchez, Gross, Webster, Dunk, Estupinian, Cancedo, McAllister, March, Lallana, Mitoma and Trossard.
So relatively standard, or the Lallana in there, which probably isn't quite first choice?
Confirmation that Haaland and Foden are on the bench, along with Mahrez, Gomez, Palmer, Lewis, Diaz, and Ortega.
Nice.
City. What else are we waiting for? Let's see what comes through. When are Newcastle playing? Oh, we're playing tomorrow, are we?
There's some decent fixtures tomorrow, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's good games tomorrow. What else? So I've done Wolves, I've done Brighton, I've done Forest, I've done City, I've done Fulham, I've done Leeds, I haven't done Bournemouth. Let's get the Bournemouth team.
For everyone who has all those Bournemouth players.
Yeah, exactly. Travers, A. Smith, Metham, Senesi, Tavernier, Billing, Lerma, Cook, Fredericks, Solanke, and more.
Fair.
They're all the teams.
I start Solanke, I think. So not bad. A few people have Solanke just for that. I think value, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
turned out pretty well.
Well, shall we wrap up before this is the nice bit. I say nice bit. The site crashed, but when you get your team confirmed, you feel okay. And this is the sort of anything's possible. I could score 100 points this week, and then the scores start coming in and reality hits. But I think on that note, we will wrap it up for today. A nice long one, but I've really enjoyed this, friend. This has flown by.
Brilliant. It's been lovely. I mean, good to chat. Always flies by.
Thank you for saving my team.
That's okay.
I appreciate that.
You haven't seen what I've done yet.
Yeah, I know. Imagine. Thank you very, very much for joining us, everyone. I hope you managed to get in, or at least you had a team that can survive this weekend. You know what? Haaland's going to come on and score a hat-trick, so it's going to be okay. We will see you all this time next week, maybe a bit earlier, I think. So thank you very much. Thank you, Ed. Have a lovely, lovely Saturday.